In this video, we'll be replacing the driver's side sway bar link in this 2007 Mazda CX-9. It's going to be the same process for the first generation from 2007 to 2015. And now we can remove our wheel. It's going to be a 21 millimeter. We'll go ahead and take off our lug nuts now. Now down underneath your axle shaft, you'll see one bolt facing out here, facing forward. This is going to be your bottom link bolt. It's going to be a 17 millimeter nut. Now if you follow your axle shaft and go just above it, underneath your strut mount, you'll see facing inwards towards the motor is your other bolt, again a 17 millimeter nut. We'll go ahead and take the bottom one out now. Now sometimes you'll spin this nut and you'll think you're taking it off, but it's actually not coming off. It's not loosening. There's going to be a shoulder on the inside behind this bracket here that we're going to have to grab. Sometimes it has flat spots that you can use a wrench, and sometimes you have to get on it with a pair of locking pliers. All right, so we're going to start up top here. By removing the top, it should allow us to swing our link a little bit more out of our way so we can work on the bottom. So again, the top bolt here, or the top nut, is going to be 17 millimeters, same as the bottom. And this nut actually spins without rotating the back until now. So now the back here has a shoulder on it that just started to spin, but because of its location, it should be a little easier to put a set of locking pliers on and stop that back from rotating. Okay. We can go ahead and remove that nut. We can remove our locking pliers. All right, so now we can remove our link. And we can pull it backwards a little bit and swing it down out of the way, which now allows us to work in here a little bit easier to back up the back from spinning. So in order to get the shoulder to stop spinning on the back side here, we're going to come in with our link swung down out of our way. We're going to come in with a pair of long needle nose locking pliers to see if we can grab that shoulder. And then on the front, our 17 millimeter socket. Let's see if we can get that bolt or that nut to come free. All right. So it's working. We're going to have to keep that shoulder stabilized. The locking pliers want to keep jumping off. So it's very hard to get a grip on the shoulder. Basically, this part on the top one here. Very hard to get a grip. So what we're going to do is actually take the boot right off. And we can only do this because we're replacing it. If we were just removing it for something else, you wouldn't want to do this. Because we have a replacement, we're going to remove the boot. All right, so remove the boot. And what that gives us is a little more surface area to grab inside here. With the long pair of needle nose, we now have a bigger area in there to grab. Did not work, but what's happening is also what I like to do is just pull that socket right out. So you remove your link. Remove this little cup here. Now you have a ball that you can actually clean. Now this is the whole piece that's moving. So what we can do from here is get a nice clean grip on this end here. Now we should be able to remove that nut. Off camera, we went ahead and put some heat on that. There it is. So now removing your link. Some links have this option and some links don't. And sometimes this will strip out and sometimes it won't. So what we did is bypass this option with a pair of locking pliers on the back right from the start. But what you can do, and what I recommend you try first, is a number 9 hex head in the center of this link, and that should stop the center of the link from spinning. That will actually take the place of the locking pliers on the back, and a 17mm wrench on the actual nut itself. So then what you can do is use the wrench to remove the nut, or you can use your hex head in the center to spin the center of the link and take that nut right off. So we'll finish taking this off this way just to show you the two options, but if this center does strip out, you would then go to a set of locking pliers on the back. Take your nut right off, and there's the hex head. To install our sway bar link, we're going to put it into the bottom hole first, and we're going to line up our top. We can see our top is a little misaligned. Our link is a little higher than our sway bar. You could use a pry bar and push up your sway bar to get your link in, but once you relieve that pressure, it's going to pull down. So what we're just going to do to bypass that is actually use the bottom and push down while it's in position. And we're going to take the top, put it into that hole, and just press our link to change the angle slightly. Alright, so once you get your link through your sway bar and through the control arm, what you're going to do is take your two new locking nuts and thread them on. So we'll start with our new nut on the bottom. And we'll thread it on until the locking portion starts to catch, right about there. Now our top is still a little bit out. We can't start the nut yet. So what we're going to do is actually use a small pry bar and lift our sway bar just to get our link set in. So we're just going to lift up on our sway bar and press our link in. We can remove our pry bar. We can take our nut and start to thread it on. So our new nut is going to be an 18mm, and there is no hex head in the center. So there's going to be on the back an 18mm lock nut, which we're going to use a wrench on the back. And we're going to snug these up, both top and bottom, and then we'll come back and torque them down. Now, being that these are new links, the center most of the time won't spin on you, which means the wrench in back sometimes is doing no work. The reason I'm saying that on this vehicle specifically, the lower nut here, it's really difficult to get your wrench in. Sometimes you'll get that wrench stuck when you start to really tighten it down. So if you notice by looking in the back, if that nut isn't spinning, you can just keep tightening it down. Unfortunately for us, it is spinning, so we will need to use our wrench in the back. All right, so we've got our bottom one snugged up. We can move on to our top. All right, so we're snugged up there. We'll come back and torque them down. Okay, so now down the bottom, we're going to back up that nut, and we're going to torque it down to 45 foot-pounds. We'll do the same on the top. Go ahead and put our wheel back on. And what I'll do here is I'll put a top and a bottom lug nut on, and I'll rock the rim back and forth onto that rotor face, try and get it as flush as possible on the back, and then I'll continue with the rest of the lug nuts. Once we have our lug nuts in, we'll come in and snug these down. We'll lower the vehicle on the ground so the wheel won't spin, and we'll torque them down. Now with the vehicle on the ground, we're going to go ahead and torque down our lug nuts. We're going to do that in a crisscross pattern. We're going to torque it down to 85 foot-pounds. After finishing this installation, it's important to have an alignment done on your vehicle.
When only the best will do, demand TRQ. The only company that lets you view before you do. TRQ is committed to offering the highest quality aftermarket auto parts that are engineered for peace of mind. Thanks for using and viewing with TRQ.